nerds, party 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 nerds.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, party nerds. This is Grandmaster FAQs here once again for you, live and direct. First off, I'd like to give a big shout out to the Party Nerds. We have just started season 2 of our joint panel podcast, so look out for that every Tuesday, 6:45, Wildfire Radio, or on your podcast apps on your phone. Today's topic, as we are reaching the conclusion of a cinematic masterpiece in Marvel, I'd like to get to the point where Infinity War, of course, is about to begin. But as much as I'd like to give you an update on my topic of today, which is the Infinity Stones, I'd like to delve a little bit into the misconceptions that are perceived amongst the Infinity Stones. Not only the fact that they are almost completed with the absence of the Soul Stone, but where we are currently and what we hope to see in the future. But certain things question me in a ways. So if we take a look at it, the first stone we got to see in the first Avengers was the Mind Stone, which Loki had in his scepter in the first Avengers movie. Now, we know that Thanos is coming, and he's looking to collect all of the Infinity Stones, tap them into the Infinity Gauntlet, and become all powerful. But I find myself confused because Thanos in one of the movies had one of the stones. He gave Loki the scepter, the Mind Gem, the Mind Stone. So he had one in his possession, and gave Loki a Chitauri scepter that was implemented with the Mind Gem so that he could wreak havoc when he got to Earth. Now, everybody knows that Thanos is a bad motherfucker, but for him to literally give up one of the stones already and to be so feared amongst the universe, that boggles me. Because ultimately this man has to get all of them back together in order to be all powerful. But to know that he actually had one in his possession and gave it up, only for it to get taken and thrown into Vision's forehead. So it's now been in possession on Earth now since the first Avengers movie. Then we lead to the second one that the first one that we saw was the Tesseract. The Tesseract was in the first Captain America movie, the first Avenger. This is also the same Tesseract that is the Space Stone that drew a gigantic hole in the middle of the Earth so that the Chitauri could physically come down from space into Earth with no problems at all. And Iron Man had to go up there and do his damn bidding in order to close the hole. The Tesseract then was placed in the garden case of Asgard, by Thor. So you've seen this trophy case before if you've watched Ragnarok. There's a gauntlet in there, which is also confusing because if there was a post-credit scene where Thanos puts his hand inside the gauntlet and says, "I'll just do it myself," and then you go to Odin's trophy case and there's a gauntlet in there, and there's also an Infinity Stone that's also being placed in that trophy case. I'm not going to leave any spoilers because some of you may not have seen Thor Ragnarok to actually know that there is a scene in that trophy case that holds a little bit of weight. But to push forward, the next one that we got to see was the Reality Stone. Now, this was shown in Thor 2. Of course, Malekith was one of the Dark Elves, and he wanted to use the Reality Gem to have the ability to bend reality and transport between realms. So, as we know, the story of Asgard and Earth, that there are 9 realms. And if you've known from that second Thor movie, Malekith wanted to use the Aether to ultimately propel his army from his realm to Earth without any type of problem. And he needed the Aether to do it. That stone is now in the possession of the Collector, which then leads us to our 4th stone, which is the Power Stone that we saw in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Now, this gem, of course, we know is all powerful. As the Collector told us in that story, that anybody in possession of it, it actually has to be harnessed in the orb, because its existence to just be out physically can pose destruction to millions within the galaxy. Beyond millions. Let's just say that. Now, this is now in the possession of the Nova Corps on Xandar, which then leads us to the latest one that we actually got to see, and it was the Time Gem, Time Stone, that we found was in the Eye of Agamotto in Doctor Strange. Now, as we know it, this gem is sitting in the temple where it was first to be kept anyway. It is the necklace that Doctor Strange used on Dormammu in the movie. Is used to create time loops and suspend time. But if it's placed in the wrong hands, and if treated in a sense of where it's not useful, it can bend and make alternate universes. Last but not least, we have the one that has not been revealed yet, and this is the Soul Stone. And this is where it gets tricky. Of course, a lot of us been on YouTube and have seen many people create the theories that they've had, and I don't mind that. You know, our jobs, and I say jobs because this doesn't come without heavy research, and I consider that a job. Are to make educated guesses off of what we've seen and what we've read For those of us that have read the comics, probably see it one way. For those of us that see the movies, see it another way. But my whole thing is, I've seen some of the examples as, oh, it's Hela in the new Thor Ragnarok movie, or no, it's Heimdall from the Thor movies, because for those of you that don't know, and if this is your first time hearing this, bless your ever-loving heart, you have not read into it that much. But Marvel has placed this shit so great. And it goes like this. All the Infinity Gems spell out the name, Thanos. Tesseract being the T. Then there's an H, which nobody seems to know exactly what it is. The A is the Aether from Thor 2, which is the reality gem. The N was the necklace, which the Eye of Agamotto is attached to. O is the orb, which is the Power Stone's casing in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And the S is the scepter, or staff, or whatever you want to call it. So the last thing that popped up was the H. So the H had to stand for something. So you had the Soul Stone that still hasn't to be revealed, and everybody was kind of looking forward to seeing Thor Ragnarok and finding the Soul Stone finally pop up. Well, news for everybody. I hate to break it to you, and yeah, spoiler moment. You assholes didn't get your Soul Stone. Heimdall didn't have it. Hela didn't have it. Shit wasn't even fucking mentioned. So what exactly could we do? And where do we go from here? So we have now one movie till Infinity War. And it's Black Panther. Now, I have a question to pose. You ever been around your friends drinking? Maybe even smoking a little bit. And somebody just says like some wild shit that sounds stupid as hell, but 5 seconds later it makes sense. So I'm near a couple of my friends, and we're all pretty toe to hell up by now. And one of them blurts out, "Hey, you know Chadwick Boseman, that's gonna be Black Panther." He was like, and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Well, you know who else he played?" And I was like who? What? Jackie Robinson? He was like, "No, James Brown." And I'm like, "Okay." He was the godfather of soul. And I was like,
What the fuck?
at first I was like, get the fuck out of my face. But I had to walk away for 5 minutes. And I was like, wait, hold on. So I'm sitting there like, I get on YouTube and I start like researching stuff and seeing exactly what it could be if it was to be in Black Panther movie, and how exactly could it fit. All right, so there was a scene in Civil War when Black Panther's father died, and he was talking to Black Widow, and he's telling her that they don't think of death as the end, but as a step forward. almost like a step forward into another world. You're not really leaving us, but it's a beginning. So he told her this, and if you've read the Black Panther novels, they, not to say that they study voodoo or anything like that, but they look to the souls of their ancestors for advice and for their will to fight in battles. This has happened many times in Black Panther comics. The soul stone, it manipulates the souls of the living and the dead. Okay? So notice that all these gems have been found. Okay? Notice that they are all objects. The Tesseract is the cosmic cube. Okay? The Aether is just some mystical goop that floats around in the sky that's hidden under a rock. The Eye of Agamotto is based in a necklace that can just get wrapped around your neck. It's literally some shit that an 80s hip hop artist would be wearing if given the moment. If that shit was found in like 84, I swear the Cold Crush brothers would have been rocking that shit. The orb, it's of course I'm guessing a vibranium or vibranium casing for the power stone. And the scepter is the scepter. The scepter is a staff that encases the mind gem attached to it. So what could be the H? So I was looking into the history of Black Panther, and they rely amongst them talking to the spirits, this herb that comes from this tree. Now, if you watch the trailers, there's these scenes where T'Challa is walking amongst the Serengeti, amongst a purple sky. Soul stone is purple, and he's staring at a fucking tree. So I'm thinking it might be a herb. That's just my theory. I don't think it's a person. I don't think it's a place. But I do believe it's a thing. And all these gems had to initially come from someone. If you've been a diehard on source material, there was a woman, a cosmic entity. Her name was Nemesis. She wore the gems in her crown. And this is before the universe began, and she was extremely lonely and felt she needed to do something, so she used the gems to create life. And then she saw the disaster and destruction of the life that she created, so she killed off everything that she created and was lonely again, and in turn committed suicide amongst the universe and killed herself. Infinity gems now disperse and go to wherever they need to go. They have yet to be in the same place at the same time, doing the bidding of one person. So this is a big deal. Now, where Marvel tends to go from here, I do not know, but this is a big deal. And that's where I leave you. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I am looking forward to the next couple of movies, Black Panther and Infinity War, and then after, when we get to Ant-Man and Wasp and Captain Marvel, I believe it's just going to be some stunning film work. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when we get to that point too. But once again, thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to us at Partynerdz at YouTube. And look out for us 6:45 Wildfire Radio every Tuesday. Or check us out on your podcast dial at the Partynerdz. I am Grandmaster FAQs. Partynerdz go.
Partynerdz, 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 Partynerdz.